All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful day like we are here in beautiful Northern Ontario at Timmins. Now, my name is Kevin Vincent. I am the senior contributing editor here at Mining Life and Exploration News, Canadian Tradex, and of course now Vertex, which is our proprietary global conferencing system. And welcome to Mining the Abitibi. And this is a virtual conference. For those of you that have already logged in, you can tell that. And this special event has been made possible by a number of terrific companies, including Mappy, including Lakeshore Gold, Kirkland Lake Gold, Wallbridge Mining, which we're going to talk about here momentarily, and of course, companies like Canada Nickel and G4 Drilling. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our fifth speaker of the day, Francois Demers from Walbridge Mining. And I got to tell you, I've been watching Wallbridge now, and these exciting news releases that just come one after the other. It just seems like the news keeps getting better and better every day. And no wonder that they were named the Quebec Junior Mining Company of the Year in 2020. And to shed some light on the exciting news about Wallbridge, we have Frank Demers with us this morning. Frank, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks very much for having me.
My pleasure. And the floor is yours, sir. Let's hear all this great news about Wallbridge.
Perfect. Okay, I'll start my presentation. I'll talk a little bit about our corporate organization and then move on to the Fenelon project because that is probably what most people want to hear about. And I'll try to keep it fairly brief at the same time and open things up for questions. Got our regular disclaimer in case I say anything forward-looking. So I'll talk a little bit about the company overview and then the Fenelon project, as I mentioned. I won't spend too much time here. Well, from a corporate perspective, as you all know, or as you may know, or you'll learn now, our Fenelon project is located in Quebec. It's a great jurisdiction for value creation. It's one of the top jurisdictions in Canada and across the world for investment and project development. Has 100 years of mining history. Many ounces have been pulled from the Abitibi area. It's a host of 21 gold deposits with a large skilled workforce, mining-friendly policies, in an established area. We've got great infrastructure and strategic partnerships. So all in all, it's a great district. Our board of directors, as some of you may be familiar with, is diverse and is loaded with experience and good support for our team. So we're really well positioned as a board of directors and management team to move our project forward. A little bit about the Northern Abitibi or the Detour Fenelon Gold Trend. Wallbridge currently has holdings on 90-kilometer stretch going from the Ontario-Quebec border from basically due east of Detour Gold, stretching 90 kilometers towards the town of Matagami or just north of Matagami. And that's where you find the Fenelon gold system, as well as the Martiniere gold deposit, which has a resource on. We have not done much work on Martiniere since discovering Fenelon. However, it does have some significant opportunities as well. A little bit of another graphic there. This is a very underexplored land package. There has been some work conducted in the past. However, Wallbridge has been the most active here in the last few years, drilling 100,000 meters in 2020 and targeting 170,000 meters this year. We've been active on the package since 2016, where the work on Fenelon initially started, and then of course that story grew in 2017, 2018, and to now up to 2021. As you can see here, we're due east of Detour. There has been some good discoveries or some good results along that whole trend. And of course, our focus right now is on developing the Fenelon gold property. In terms of being corporate, in terms of corporate responsibility and ESG, we are doing our part. We focus on several pillars being social responsibility, cultural heritage and diversity, health and safety, well-being, corporate governance, the environment, and being good economic contributors. Some of the data we have on that. So in terms of cultural heritage, we are working on developing a cultural awareness program for our site, as well as a cultural center at Fenelon, focused on diversity and inclusion, and building some awareness amongst our teams as to our operations being in the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples. In terms of health and safety, we had a very nice stretch, good performance in health and safety. We went 683 days through 2019 and 2020 without a recordable injury. In 2020, we were awarded the PDAC Gold Award in Health and Safety. And of course, as anybody else, we have good, effective COVID-19 response. In terms of governance, we take a risk-based decision approach supported by our policies and standards. In environment, we follow the Directive 19 for water management in Quebec, and we are operating in an area that's very humid and wet, and in the traditional territories of our neighbors, the indigenous communities. So we do take extra precautions and work very closely with the communities in our environmental management. In terms of economic contributions, we have plus or minus 200 permanent jobs associated with the Fenelon project, with greater than 70% of our workforce residing or coming from the Abitibi region. Our annual spend this year is around $80 million, and nearly all of our procurement and basically everything, our supplies, services, and our personnel come from Quebec, other than some personnel coming from Ontario. We have a supportive stakeholders in the First Nations and the surrounding communities. And in terms of social responsibility, we do focus on local employment and facilitating access to our projects. 25% of our workforce right now comes from Indigenous communities. And we recently participated in a funding announcement for road improvements for $1.5 million, which will improve access to our project, but also, and more so, provide access to the territory from the town of Matagami, reducing travel distance, improving access to the overall area. We've got a supportive shareholder base with Kirkland Lake Gold owning 9.9% and Eric Sprott just over 20%. We've got William Day Construction at just under 7% and institutions just over 13%, with the rest being retail as well as insiders. So a little bit about the Fenelon project. So its location specifically is about 2 hours to, I'll say, the northwest of Matagami. Now, when the road gets improved, it'll be more or closer to an hour travel from Matagami, and about 160 kilometers due south of Waskaganish, which is one of the Indigenous communities that where we're in traditional territories. So it's really basically just on the southeastern tip of the James Bay, and we're 3 hours north of Amos or Lasar. Previous advanced exploration activity on the project in 2001 and in 2004, other companies prior to Wallbridge conducted some exploration and bulk sampling activities. However, in 2018 is when things really took off, with Wallbridge conducting an exploration campaign of 2,000 meters of underground development and a 33,000 ton bulk sample. In 2019, we followed that up with 40,000 meters of exploration, and then in 2020 with 100,000 meters. As well as expansion of our camp from 80 to 160 people. In 2021, we plan on executing 2,500 meters of underground development into Area 51, which you'll see a little bit later, and 170,000 meters of exploration drilling. So when we take a step back and we look at 2018 or 2016-17, when we first started, basically this is what the site looked like. It was a flooded open pit with one metal building on site and a little bit of historic core stored on site. The infrastructure had been established in 2001 and 2004, and basically had been dormant ever since 2004. In 2018, really, Wallbridge took on the project of taking the bulk sample out of the Gabbro zone. And so the Gabbro zone would be what you see directly underneath the flooded open pit at the time. So the work included dewatering the open pit, establishing infrastructure, developing about 2,000 meters underground, and establishing an exploration drift, and then bulk sampling 33,500 tons at 18.5 grams per ton gold. And we realized 98% recovery on that. So what you see there is the infrastructure that was put in place underneath the open pit. Basically a ramp, some open stoping, and an exploration drift. Now, before I go too far, I've got a couple-minute video. And really what this shows you is the evolution of the project since 2000, basically since the start in 2017, 2018 with the bulk sample in the main Gabbro zone, and then the discovery of Area 51 and the Tabasco shear zones. And you're going to see how the project has really grown over the last 3 years. So what you see here is the main Gabbro zone, where it all started in 2018. It's a good view of the underground development that was put in place. This is a great picture here showing how the scale has changed of this project when we started with just the main Gabbro and now the discoveries of the Area 51 and Tabasco Cayenne shear zones. So that's a great intro to this slide here, which basically shows, initially the main Gabbro infrastructure, which is up in the upper right-hand corner here. You can see when you compare it to the rest of the gold system, it was really just a postage stamp of what we've discovered so far. Now, since 2018, we've had three new discoveries, or in 2019 and 2020. We've identified 1.8 kilometer by 1.2 kilometer area that's mineralized, and we keep drilling and defining that. It still has growth potential, and it's composed of 4 mineralized environments, being the Gabbro zone, the Tabasco Cayenne zone, the Area 51 that we focused a lot on, as well as the Ripley Reaper zone, which we have just scratched the surface of. So today the project is even expanded from here. This picture is about a year old, but you can see here the dewatered pit, the maintenance shop on site, as well as offices, the water treatment area to the right here, and then core storage area, which is now expanded. But the site has been reconfigured a little bit, but in essence has maintained this look. In terms of the camp, we previously had an 80-person camp. This has now been expanded to a 160-person camp, and everything's in place now. And this summer we're just planning the installation of the sewage and septic system. So we'll have a 160-person permanent camp on site, to support our exploration activities and development activities as we move forward. In terms of a roadmap to timeline, or a timeline roadmap, I've talked about this a little bit already in reviewing the project progress so far. But in I won't speak of the past too much, but in 2021, we're working on publishing a main resource by the end of Q3. All of the drilling that we're doing in the first half of this year will help support that maiden resource, which will then lead into economic evaluations and engineering work in support of progressing the project. One of the key elements of our project is being responsible. So in terms of environmental management and using surface water and using water in general, our underground workings are continuously dewatered and maintained, especially with our current underground development activities. Surface water is diverted around the site wherever possible. And then water used for activities at the site is treated and discharged as per Directive 19. In terms of waste and sewage, the septic system, as I mentioned, is being constructed in 2021 at the camp. And currently the sewage, all of the gray water and sewage is collected and disposed of at the nearby Matagami facility. So we've got an agreement with the town of Matagami for treatment of all gray water and sewage. One of the things that we did when we took on this project was making sure that we were responsible with cleanup at the beginning and at the outset or onset. An extensive cleanup effort was carried out of leftover materials from previous owner activities. So we had over 200 barrels of fuel and oil that were safely removed and disposed of offsite. And one of our important focuses as well is diversity. We have a widely diverse team at site, people of all nationalities and province. And again, we encourage as much as possible local participation. So we hire from the Abitibi as much as possible. We hire from the First Nations communities as much as possible. And one of our key initiatives is in all of our contracting efforts. And for those of you who are listening on the supplies side, supplies or services side, one of our main initiatives is in anything that we do, we try to ask for suppliers and service providers to work with First Nations and local communities in providing their services, providing opportunities for business development and for employment. Thanks very much, everybody. And I think this opens it up to questions.
Terrific. Well, Frank, thank you so much for your terrific presentation this morning and updates on, I think, which one of the most exciting, I think, gold exploration stories that's unfolding worldwide. I'm always taken aback a little bit by how subdued, whether it's yourself or Maz is, when you talk about the project. There we go. We finally got a smile on it. And because this is a really exciting project. This is really shaping up. As I watch news release after news release come in, and you look at the numbers, and unless you have a human calculator in your brain, it's hard to connect all those dots. But wow, there's just so much compelling data there that says, what, we're on the verge of something really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this project, I joined in 2018. And really, for myself, it was the first gold project I really joined and got into, spending most of my career in base metals. And I did my research before joining on, and I saw that there was a lot of potential with this project. And I'm really happy that I joined at the time I joined. Back in 2018 when I joined, the share price was 6.5 cents, and market cap was 10 million. You know, you look at today, we've gone as high as $1.30 last year, but you know, we've been hovering in around the 60 to 65 cent range and $500 million market cap now. And you know, it really speaks to the team, and it speaks to the potential. You know, when you look at this, when you look at the belt itself, when you look at the activities, to use Mars's words, in southern Abitibi, where all you really needed to do was kick some moss over, and there's the mineralization. You know, where we are, there's quite a bit of overburden, and so the effort that's required to identify the resource, you know, to make the discovery to start, and then identify and start to outline it, there's just tremendous effort required. Now we're spending $80 million this year on this exploration campaign and underground development to set ourselves up, you know, to de-risk the project and continue to understand the mineralization and the size of it. Our main resource coming out that, you know, that we're targeting at the end of Q3, to me, is really just going to be the start of this. It's going to provide the information we need to start to evaluate the economics and move this project forward. So, you know,
it's almost like
if everything comes together, you know, it has the potential.
It's almost like an Olympic sprint event. It's like you're getting your track clothes off, you're going to put them in the basket, and you're just going to get up to the starting line, and that's going to happen probably over the next 3 to 4 months. That's pretty exciting. And not to diminish the whole base metals career that you've had in the past, but you know, a friend of mine used to say, you know, if you found a little bit of nickel in your backyard, you told your neighbor, hey, guess what I found? A little bit of nickel. They go, okay. But if you say to your neighbor, hey, guess what I found in my backyard? I found a little piece of gold. They go, really? Now they've got your attention, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the gold story definitely is interesting and exciting. You know, but it's a good segue actually. We released recently a corporate update through not the last press release, but the last press release. And I think, you know, it's important also to mention that we are looking to generate value out of our base metals assets at Wallbridge through different strategies that we're evaluating. And you know, I think the battery electric story and, you know, and EV story is not going away. So I think that's also important to mention, that, you know, Wallbridge does have a really great suite of assets on the base metal side.
Yes.
Especially with the Grasset project, which is right next door to Fenelon, which is a nice high grade nickel resource. So, you know, we're quite fortunate in where we are. We've got a great gold project that we're going to focus on and move forward. But at the same time, we're not forgetting about those base metals assets and generating value from those, either through, you know, spin outs or, you know, whatever that looks like. We're evaluating that.
Well, in the next 5 to 10 years, as we are all driving electric vehicles, if you do find a little bit of nickel in your backyard, turns out it's going to put on a smile on your face just like gold. So, Frank, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Great company, Wallbridge Mining, and we're really excited, you know, to watch the Fenelon deposit move forward. You know, Area 51, Zone 51, and Cayenne, Tabasco, and all these crazy names. We just love watching the trajectory of this great company. So congratulations on getting the company this far, and we look forward to the next 3, 6 months, 10 months, you know, the next several years as that project really comes to light. So folks, thank you so much for joining Frank on his presentation.